how's it in the name of Christ? How you doing? It's your girl Crancake, Karabo. I hope you're good. I hope you're peachy. I hope you're Stella, and I hope you're in a neat little bunch. Did I say Crancake? Or it could be animated for Jesus, depending really what you're looking at. Depending really on what you're looking at. If it's the doll, then it's animated for Jesus. Anyway, so what's up? So today's like some day in September, like the 20th maybe? 21st, I don't know. I think it's the 20th, but yeah, we are yet to discover that as a thing. I feel like it's important to highlight the date that I record these videos because of all the information that comes through and things that change as time progresses. So I like it's the 20th or 20, either 20th or 21st. I think it's the 20th on the dot, actually. I could just check on my phone. 19th. It is the 19th of September. It's not even the 20th yet. Don't know why I'm in a rush to get to the 20th. Anyway, it is the 19th of September, 2024. And it's an a whatever day, alright? I do apologize for my white cast sunscreen. It's just going to be coming at you flashing. So let's just like try and act like that's not a thing. Alrighty, cool. Let's just get straight into this. Okay, look, I desperately do apologize. This world that you have manufactured witches. Listen, okay, look, I don't know what to touch first, between the men and the women, or just a combination of those who exploit my situation. Let's just put that out there. This out there. I'm poor. I don't have money. I appear to be going absolutely nowhere in life. I have nothing to my name. And that's been a thing for like 10 years. I lost everything as a result of the indiscretion of those who walk in a psychosis. And it's been rough to take in my stride that I've lost everything, but nonetheless I take in my stride that I've lost everything because God is in control. Alright? It's written in God's word in the book of Job after he lost everything that Job did not sin upon losing everything because he said, once encountered with a severity of loss. He said, naked I came into this world, naked I will leave. God gave and then the Lord took away, yet blessed be the name of the Lord. That is just the nature of Christianity. That's how we are when we lose stuff. We realize that God is sovereign at the very end of the day. He is sovereign in the worst way. And it's literally not going to end well, like even in the slightest. Do you understand? For those who antagonize us, it's not going to end well. Even though it appears for a season that we have got nothing. I feel sorry, my phone fell. I feel like my messages are repetitive, but I guess that's just the nature of teaching lessons. Stuff is repetitive on that day. You just have to keep going and going again over the same notes, and hopefully somebody will just catch. More than anything, I do these videos for myself, okay? To comfort myself. Man, I don't even know what to do anymore. Why does this keep falling? Like, what in the world? And now there is a delay. Oh, goodness. Alright, whatever. I think I'm gonna keep this with or without my phone falling. I don't know. Look, I really can't tell you why it fell because it appears to be stable where it's at. But let's just get straight to the point. My man, like, this is not gonna end well for everybody in the dark. Look at what you've done to a woman over a decade, but thank God I'm not the only one. Yeah, I'm not the only one. Witches, Kingdom of Darkness, I do apologize on the day that you contracted with the devil for the first time. I'm really sorry that you did that. Because look at you now. Look at you now. Look at you now. All these years down the line, and all you do, like this is all you have. This is all you have. All you have is your incessant attempt at manipulating the outcomes of a person's life. It's literally all you have. All you have is being mean. All you have is being cold. All you have is being unspiritual, or spiritual for all the wrong things. All you have is the magic wand. And with it, look at you. Destroy every friendship you've ever had. Look at you. Destroy everybody that you've ever loved. Look at you. Look at your family burning. The individual households in the family. Look at them burn. Eh? Look at the individuals that raised you, and you having burned every last structure that encircled you on the come up. Down. Look at you leaning on this thing like a junkie, a heroin addict, to get everything, since you have burnt down the pillars of your entire family. Yeah, now you're going after other people's families. You are going after women that are not yours. with it. Yeah, you're such junkies for the occult that now you require this evil thing to do everything. And the sad thing about it is that you feel entitled to that which you have gazed upon. You look at stuff and you're like, I'm gonna take it. You feel entitled, and so you just take whatever you want to take. And sometimes you succeed, sometimes you don't. But when you don't succeed, you then do stuff like what is being done to me today. You graduate, you menacing beasts, you, to murder. You deteriorate to homicide. You feel as if though this like creepy crap of a person that does not want to capitulate to what I want them to capitulate to, they must now die. We are going to have a discussion about your insanity. You make yourselves obsessed with people that don't capitulate to your beck and call. Satan fell out of heaven. Alright, he was taken out. He was knocked out from heaven for the very reason that you all are presently not of God and are therefore knocked out of heaven. He prided himself so badly in essentially being God that he tried to coup the God of the universe. It was not immediate, Satan's comeuppance, when he concocted a scheme, a plot, a machination against the God of the universe. His comeuppance was not immediate. We know that that is a thing because herein lies the deal. An omnipresent and an omniscient God said of Satan, well, not said of Satan, sorry, but an omniscient and an omnipresent God. So it fit to essentially let him scheme and plot and come up with strategies to take over heaven. God is everywhere all at the same time. There's nothing that you can do that is apart from his understanding. If you go to the depths of the earth, he is there. Psalm 139. If you go to the heights of the skies, he is there. Also Psalm 139. You can elevate yourself or go anywhere. You can dig the deepest of holes in the ground, and God is still there. The other day I did a video speaking about the atom and how it's evidence of God's omnipresence. I'm not going to delve into that deeply, but he's literally everywhere. So when you sit and concoct an evil machination in your ugly brain, trying to overwhelm a structure that God has erected, I do apologize if you seem to be left in it. If you seem to be left in that wild idea, you are not on that day buried or hidden behind a rock sufficiently enough to hide from God. You are not succeeding to hide your ways from God. You are just left, don't you see? I keep saying that. You are just left. Like, you are left to scheme and plot so you can get to the nth of yourself. Now, for instance, let's say you have an inquiry that you are raising up against a person. You have a controversy to pick with that human being. You want them brought to book, but you don't have enough evidence to run with. You know that this person is a sex trafficker. You know that this individual is into snatching young girls when they are walking home from school, that they might convert them into prostitutes later on. You know that this human being is into human trafficking. You are aware. You speculate right now. You have seen that they are into human trafficking. But unfortunately, at the time that you caught them in the act, you were not recording it. It's basically their word against yours and your word against theirs. It's just one of those. Yeah, you don't have evidence. So what do? If you want to apprehend this person, if you want them brought to book, if you want to handle them, if you want to put them in jail, if you want to remove them from the streets, that people's daughters might be safe tomorrow, that people's children might not be scared to walk home from school after school, what do? You lay low. Yeah. You lay low and you set booby traps all around this person's life, trusting that being so typical, they're so typical, they go in and do just what they do. You know that they are evil and that all they can do is just snatch people's girls from the streets and turn them into prostitutes. So you create a lure for them. You put them in a position to do that which they will inevitably do because it's just who they are. Yeah. You put them in a position to do that. However, encircled by an army of soldiers, encircled by protection for the individual in question that you're going to use as a decoy bait, you put them in a position to essentially bite when you throw the fishing rod into the ocean, because these idiots are going to predictably do that which they always do. These human trafficking idiots are going to do that which is just in their inbuilt nature to do. They will never suddenly one day wake up and realize that, oh snap, this is wrong. I should probably not human traffic. I should probably not take people's girls from the street and then convert them into prostitutes. I should probably just change my mind. Because this here is problematic. Herein lies the deal. If you did change your mind, you probably would have been given amnesty. If you did change your mind, there would not be enough evidence against you. If you did change your mind, there would not be a case, a dossier that thick, detailing all of your feats against people's kids. So you would have essentially been guilty of the sin of human trafficking, the crime of human trafficking, very well, but there be no evidence, not sufficient anyway, against you, enough for you to get away with that initial murder. But you see, you just keep doing the same trash all day, every day. You're so predictable. Yeah. And so the individual in question that sets you up for failure, essentially you who are debased, reprobate, unstable in all your ways, and very typical. You who keeps on biting because you're a pervert. You who keeps on biting because you're a saboteur. You're just gonna take the bait because you're an idiot. Do you understand? All you can do is massacre. You have destroyed not only people's lives but your own with this, and yet you don't stop. There's a lot of time that you're awarded, a lot of time. A lot. You are given a lot of time to do differently, but you just don't, right? So essentially you are given what is called grace, to change your mind. Because the moment people are on to you, that's when they start to embark on an inquiry. They start to embark on investigations. They start to raise up charges against you, but it is not wise to pounce on you, idiot, when you are yet to have thicker dossier that big of evidence against you. But you predictably and very typically give God a dossier that thick. You give his servants a dossier that thick. You insist on piling up charges against yourselves. This is not going to end well. I don't know how many times I can say this. There is no evil structure that has ever come and gone on earth, left unfettered to just thrive without being resisted and ultimately conquered. That's just been the ebb and the flow of the earth for very many millennia. It is what it is. Wickedness might thrive sometimes even for 400 whole years, but it eventually gets ended, and you are wicked. You are evil in a most exquisite capacity, and the thing you are is not only exhausting to me, but all of your victims, and you will be stopped. You will. Your hubris may target me at your leisure. We get it, because you're idiots. We understand. Your absolute incontinence may indeed drop stools in my general ecosystem, creating a stench up my nostrils. We understand. But bottom line is this: you're evil. That's just the thing, you're evil. You're just exceptionally freaking diabolical. You're just malevolent. And that stuff never sticks. Like, it literally never sticks. Wickedness does not win in the end. It never does. There's no historical account for evil just lingering unfettered, with nobody coming for the victims of the wicked. It does, however, take a long time. And God is this investigator. He is this dossier maker. He is this case builder of prolific proportions. He is the be-all and end-all of judge. And he will annihilate you with all of the charges that you trumped up against yourself. But in the run-up to, he will have been gracious to essentially highlight to you that people are onto you. Stop. Cease and desist if you do. It's all water under the bridge. Yeah, it's written in God's word that love casts out fear. A perfect love casts out fear. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I wanted to say was love covers a multitude of sins. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, and God is gracious. He's so gracious that he goes out of his way to give us Jesus, that we might not endure consequences for the dossier, the wad of evidence against us that is frankly pressing on our chests, crushing us to the nth of ourselves. Very well. Given that God is all about giving us grace when we don't deserve it, when you do not take in your stride the fact that people are onto you, you smell, you stink. Do you understand? When you don't see that and then run before you get caught, I do apologize, you had it coming. When you do finally get finished off by an inferno, an eternal one that is going to burn you forever and ever. You would love to do away with the reality of hell, but it's coming. However, not first before an earthly humiliation. You must comprehend you will be humiliated here first before you eventually go to the hell you absolutely deserve to go to. We all deserve to go there, but you supercalifragilisticexpialidocious deserve to go there because you suck. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're evil, diabolical, exquisitely nefarious, and such beings as those don't just linger throughout history. Don't you see? You will be set up for failure by a holy God that will give you an opportunity to choose life or death. He will place before you blessings and curses, life and death, therefore choose life. And he will put before you, just like he did with Adam and Eve. He's been doing it for a minute, so I mean, you are literally no different. He will place a tree in front of you and say, don't eat of it. That's God. He will put a tree that's got succulent fruit on it and then tell you don't eat, because he is testing you. And you've got an option. You can choose to completely disregard him, or you can just not eat, walk away, and trust that he is God. He's in the heavens. He is wise. He knows better. And even though you don't know why he doesn't want you to eat of this tree, you just know that because he is omnibenevolent, yeah, he can't do you wrong. He can't do you dirty. That is the stuff of faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. You don't know why God is saying don't do this, but like you trust that it's probably good for you because he's God. He's omnibenevolent. He can never cause you to flounder. He's holy. He can't be tempted. So therefore, when he says A, trust is the best solution for you. You are given precepts. You understand what is right and what is wrong. The law of God is written on your hearts, and so for those reasons, you cannot claim you did not know that something was wrong simply because it was not legal. Or, so not legal, sorry, but written in canon. Even if you're not given canon, like as in legislation, to help you along in your decision making, bottom line is if your conscience is beating down on you, then it's wrong. Because South Africa legalizes your creepy kingdom. South Africa has legalized your shoddy little art form, otherwise known as witchcraft. You're allowed to freaking do it, you idiots. South Africa allows you to be a witch. But you see, the stuff that you guys do in that environment, I really do apologize oh so profusely. It decimates your consciences. You are walking up and down corporate South Africa and wherever else that you might find yourselves, utterly shattering, dismembering, disemboweling, and eviscerating completely innocent people. Because you, that idiot, that thoroughly thinks that because your country has legalized your trash, that it's okay. But you see, you've got a conscience. And that conscience is in tandem, it's aligned to the law of God on your heart. That even though your crazy country has legalized that which is destroying all of its citizens, yeah, it's still wrong. Yeah, it's still wrong. Idiots. I don't like witches, I despise them. Alright? Systematic oppression was a law. It was signed into statute by our nation's president back in the days of apartheid. It was legal to segregate black people from whites and Indians, etc. I could go on, but it was evil. That's just the nature of having canon and basically law written down, signed off by your nation's head of state. That's crazy. It eventually gets stopped abruptly, but in the run-up to, people are just doing the most abominably against their better judgment, against their consciences, simply because human beings made a decision that something is okay when it's obviously not. Systematic oppression was legal. It was, according to idiotic man, according to hubris man, according to defunct man, according to obtuse man, whose hearts are deceitful above all things and desperately wicked, whose most righteous works are like filthy rags, like man came up with systematic oppression. But were those who oppressed not lambasted by a conscience that made it clear that you don't get to do that to people? They were. That was the prevailing force that was trying to stay them from finishing something evil off. Do you understand? Yeah, but some people stuck to their guns, didn't they? And were they not met with comeuppance because they chose to stick to their guns? Those who repented on time still to this day are roaming freely, scot-free, having kept all their wealth despite having been initial oppressors. Those who took the amnesty pledge, those who took the tribunal pardon, those who took it in exchange for repentance and confession, yeah, they're still hopping up and down with everything of theirs intact today. But those that stuck to their guns and insisted that I'm gonna finish this thing all the way to the end, while we all know what happened over there. Just like systematic oppression, your stupid country, that is South Africa, has legalized your trash. It has made your trash free to achieve in anybody's life. It is wrong. I keep saying that witchcraft needs to be regulated. You know that it's wrong, just like systematic oppression, just like Group Areas Act, just like Bantu education, you know that it's wrong. But presently you don't care because of the fact that it's crazy legal. Like, you are freaking insane. It's legal, we get it, but it's freaking diabolical. Like, you are evil. You're evil in a most devastating capacity. Whether or not your president does not happen to agree that we should stop you dead in your tracks, but thank God we have a president in the sky. His name is Jesus. Thank God we have a president in the sky. His name is Christ. And he's the one that gives you the overall be-all and end-all ultimate law that is unbending, unchanging, unmending, and it's holy. It's pure. And he says that is the standard by which you must measure your behavior, not the standard of your mere mortal, deadbeat presidents. Do you understand? That can legalize so much trash in the country that countrymen be out here literally slicing each other's heads off, rolling them down steep staircases, and nobody being apprehended for that rubbish. South Africa is a mess. It's a chaotic, cantankerous, super mess. And witches, you did that. And your president is sitting all docile, all namby-pamby, literally wet behind the ears, doing absolutely nothing about the fact that he's running a witchcraft state. You are crazy. You are mentally ill. This is systematic oppression. It is wrong, but unfortunately, it's freaking legal. Yeah, well, I'm appealing to the fact that there is a God in the sky that is holier than your deadbeat president, okay? That has told you, we get that your country's evil and that your country has legalized trash, but you don't get to do that in front of me because I'm the be-all and end-all of the final judge. Will you take amnesty, or will you act a fool continuously? Because look over here, there is a dossier this thick, a wad of evidence against you, that if this wad reaches that height, that's when I start to go into an inquiry. That's when I start to go into court, due process. That's when the court case starts. That's when I'm about to prosecute. Anywhere in the run-up to all this evidence piling up against you, anywhere in between, should you decide to stop doing what you're doing, I'm prepared to take all this and throw it all away and act like you did nothing. But like you see, you're idiots. You don't care. You are uninterested, even in the slightest, in the fact that there are piles of evidence and stuff is getting so dire right now that it's like so clear that la lawyer. No. I mean, like, it's been 10 years of suffering for me, and now everybody that's ever been a psychopath where I'm concerned is obviously just that, a psychopath. I mean, when you get to a place where you are obviously just some freak, oloyang everything in the streets, that's when you should just stop. You know, it's like gambling. When there's no when to stop. Quit pulling the lever. You're gonna die, but not first before you get severely humiliated. This here is not a going concern that can be maintained. Even if you don't want to cease hostilities against my person, but bottom line is, comeuppance is literally here. Do not underestimate God, because he's standing back watching you finish yourselves off. He is holy. He is omnipotent. And granted that he is as gargantuan as he is, you literally cannot afford to have your case commence. You need to make a plea bargain. You need to do some kind of a deal with God to not let you go to tribunal. You need to beg God to not go to trial. Because once this thing goes to court, I do apologize. I will be laughing at your demise, Lankutla. I will be celebrating. I will be glad. I will be joyful. And should you perish, I will say good riddance. Because you will have been the bane of my existence, like a tick in the hair, sucking all the blood therein, causing me to shave all my hair off. You will have been good riddance. You are parasites. You are blemishes. You are blights to society. You are everything that's wrong with your countries. You are disgusting. And when then you are neutralized, we will celebrate. Because everyone that was wronged by systematic oppression in the days of apartheid de-celebrated. However, those that were hoping to hold fast to it, they got handled. You're evil. You're too evil for whatever you are doing to be maintained as a going concern. You are literally a blemish to South Africa. You are like hyperpigmentation. You're like cloasma. You're like ochronosis, an incurable hyperpigmentation on the cheek because you used skin lightening creams for too long. That's what you are. You are a blemish, a cancer, a metastasized one that is so incredibly malignant that frankly you are in the casket already. You are everything that's wrong with South Africa. Granted that you are that dispensable no-brainer. For you to think that you're indispensable is frankly quite pompous. It is arrogant for you to imagine that nobody can live, can survive, can breathe. No one can catch a break. If you don't agree, I am wary of all of these dreams that I keep on getting, with witches thoroughly thinking that Karabo, proper, yes, me, am a beggar, and so therefore I can't choose. Whoa, I need the bathroom. Let's get back into the discussion. I'm traumatized. Indeed. I'm broken. Indeed. And my trauma and my brokenness is your price. For real. Like that's all you have done on earth. You have prospered to cause relatively okay, coy, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, generally happy people to have PTSD. Is that what we're doing? That's your rap sheet, you idiots. Like literally that. All you do is just cause people to be jumpy in the chair. I'm sorry, men, you're evil. When you repeatedly rape a woman and leave them like a zombie on the side of the street every time anybody takes a footstep in their direction, they then are jumpy in the chair. When that's your handiwork, I do apologize. I'm sorry, that's all you have? For real, is that all you're doing? Because that's the thing about you people in the occult, right? You don't understand this. You are so demon-possessed that you pride yourselves in freaking traumatizing people. You pride yourselves in making people jump like oil in a frying pan when somebody takes a footstep towards them. You pride yourselves in people becoming withdrawn, like when you see a person curled up like a fetus in a corner, struggling to unravel themselves because they lack confidence now because you've happened. Yeah, that is something that you pat yourself on the shoulder concerning, because you say, yeah, like, uno papa. You say to people, you are forward. You say to people, that's what you get for stepping on my toes. When, listen to this, the stepping on toes activity of which was a person just simply saying no. Like men, when you pursue women and they say no, apparently that is a stepping on the toes. And so when this woman does not capitulate to your korobela mess, then you make them curl up like a fetus in a corner, or like a snail in its shell, or a tortoise in its shell, never to come out again. Causing a woman to be scared of literally every man in these streets. Everybody at all that might have a little bit more testosterone than a woman, she is scared of them. Even though not every man is a monster like you, but just because she's encountered enough of you. Yeah, she's now scared of every guy, every man that can ever slide into her DMs. She's actually imagining that maybe he's a psychopath. And then you're like, yeah, that's what you get for rejecting me. That which is an apparent infraction against you often tends to be a person's freedom to choose as they will. You imagine people are arrogant. You think of them as pompous for simply rejecting that which ought to be rejected. I compare you guys to bodily fluids that need to be cleared from the body that we might be clean. You are like mucus in the nose, snot. You are like dried up tears on the side of the eye, ditogo. You are like didede, drool just on the side of the cheek that's created a little bit of a map over here. You are like sweat. You are like vaginal discharge. You are bodily fluids. If a person does not wash them off, they get cracky, they get stanky, they are filthy on that day. They are unkept, they're disheveled, and frankly not appropriate to be in the presence of other people. You ooze out of the skin like sweat, but if a person does not wash you off, they will smell the entire day. That's what you do to people's lives. You make them smell. You rock up in their lives and everything falls apart. You rock up in people's lives and everything falls apart. Men, you enter into a woman's life, and even though she's a bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, coy, sweet, dainty lady, now she's either withdrawn or kind of evil, nefarious, because maybe you've introduced her into witchcraft, or you've just abused her for so long that now she can no longer be the sweet woman that she used to be. And I mean, this goes both ways. Women too. Hey, a friend coming, meets you, handshake. You think that you've got a BFF. You break bread, you share secrets, you exchange pleasantries, you sleep in the same bed, you comfort one another. Essentially, you've got a best friend. And then this like cloud without rain decides to become drool on your face ever since you've gotten this new friend, Onalidi Togo. And when you don't wipe the Togo, when you don't wipe snot from the face, when you do not wipe yourself after doing the number 1 or the number 2, you will smell, you will be disheveled, you will be unkept, and you will be unpleasant to be in the presence of. Indeed, you make people unpleasant to be in the presence of, because that's how much you just shatter lives. And that's the thing. If a person wants to reject all that If a person has got toko and now they gotta leave, they've got tete and now they gotta leave. When a person realizes that something is toxic and now they gotta leave, that's when you are like, okay, you're gonna be a fetus, curled up in a corner, coiled like a snail in its shell. You're gonna be withdrawn. I'm gonna give you post-traumatic stress disorder so exquisite that you're gonna be scared of all of society. You threaten people, you pull rugs from underneath their feet, you decimate, you destroy, you bomb. It's all you have. Yeah. You destroy utterly people's lives until they're so scared to try one thing, two things, three, until they second guess themselves, until they're so discouraged that they now can no longer be who they used to be. Granted that you do that to people, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Instead, sadly for you, you pride yourselves and you even tap yourselves on the shoulders, saying, that's what happens to a person that stands on my toes. When standing on their toes activity was nothing but them just standing on their basic human rights to choose what they want to do, whom they want to be with, and how they want to conduct their lives. Everybody gets to make that decision. They ought to be autonomous human beings, awarded by God a comprehensive suite of cognitive functions. They get to use them, whether or not you agree. And when then they make a decision that they don't want anything to do with you, they get to. But you see, witchcraft is a theft of autonomy. You get irritated that people don't want to be with you, kakorobela. You get irritated that people don't want to humor you, beg you, grovel at your feet. So you will literally decimate everything in their lives, destroy them, crack everything apart until they feel as if though their lives are beleaguered on all sides by the battalion of wicked soldiers that belong to Satan, and so they can't breathe, absent of them essentially capitulating to every last one of the whims that come out of your hubris body. You make people's lives a living nightmare, and that's all you have for a rap sheet. That's all you have for a rap sheet. And that's the earth that you pride yourself in creating. An earth full of timid souls, people that are just scared that you've walked into a room. You are that one guy whose one footstep is like Godzilla. You're full of intimidation, you're full of threats, you're full of, I am going to destroy your life. I am going to shatter your entire future because you don't want to do what I want you to do. Thank God then that witchcraft does not work 100% of the time, right? The Lord is the one that gives restrictions as to what needs to happen over here. He will allow you to do this much and not more. In the season of which he will also call you back home to repent, and if you don't, then I guess die. Yeah, repent or perish. If witchcraft was to succeed in doing all of its handiwork, the earth would literally implode. It would reach entropy because there's no end to describing what it is that you can potentially do, which is to people that you happen to believe have stepped on your nefarious toes. You find this diabolical weapon, and with it, you try to create an unlivable life for people if they don't kiss your behinds. Thank God he exists, right? Yeah. So just like Satan, you megalomaniacal creeps, the Lord has stood back and watched you concoct a plan, a strategy, something up your sleeves, a machination, all the way to the nth of itself that you might finish yourselves off. I keep repeating myself, my work is repetitive, it's unfortunate. Because the stuff that I say ought be, given that it's so powerful, so poignant, it ought be reaching. It ought achieve some kind of staying of ridiculous insistences upon my person. But you see, the sad thing is you're pulled as with a noose, a tether, kanko, or an ear, or whatever, by my poverty. That's the thing that's eating you alive. The fact that I am yet to be okay. I look as if though nobody's coming for me. But you see, it appeared as if though nobody was going to handle Satan when he was trying to coup all of heaven until somebody came for Satan. You are Satan, do you not see? You are concocting a strategy against a benevolent, omnipotent, creating God that made even you. You're so silly. You are acting this incredible junky fool, seeing as you are addicted to the occult, in front of a God that is everywhere all at the same time. He's omnipresent. And you think that because you've been allowed to spread yourself like a green laurel tree, that you're just going to be left. There is a scripture that says that I once saw a wicked man spreading himself like a green laurel tree. And then next thing I looked for him in the place where he was at and he was gone. That's how God judges. And I keep repeating myself time and time again. Do not look at what appears to be silence. Do not look at what appears to be inactivity, passivity, on the part of the kingdom of heaven and anticipate that that is you getting away with murder, honey. That is you being made to dance at your own court case, that you might be nicely condemned. Do you understand? The Lord sat back and watched Satan plot and scheme. He is omnipresent, so there is no way that the devil could have ever gone to truly come up with a plan against God, not even in his own mind. But he is the one that concocted these ideas in his mind and said, I will exalt myself above the Most High, and I will be like God. I am going to ascend above the stars of heaven, and I'm just basically going to be the deity in question here. I'm going to take heaven over. On the day that the devil was thinking these things, the very first sparkly idea that rocked up in his brain, it was understood as a thing. Like the very immediate moment he thought it was understood. As immediately as he concocted that thought in his mind was as immediately as God knew it. It was as immediately as God being literally in the room as he is talking, with him hearkening to what the devil is thinking. But this holy God that is omnipotent chose to stand back while Satan was thinking in his mind. God is so God that you don't have to say anything for him to hear it. He hears even what's in your mind. It's written in God's word that if you so much as look at a woman with lust, you have committed adultery with the heart. You don't have to do the full dirty. You just need to think about it to be guilty. If you so much as are angry at a person, you've committed murder with the heart. You don't have to drive a knife into a person's heart. You have already killed. So frankly, according to me, you're already dead. Because I don't like you and I am mad. But thank God I'm propitiated for, right? Which you aren't. And we're discussing that at present. Granted that the Lord is privy, has access to your thoughts, you can trust therefore that Satan, at the very conception of that evil idea, was being listened in on. He was being tuned into. Listening paraphernalia, all different kinds of hearing devices were encircling this idiot that thoroughly imagined that he could think up trash and effect a plan of trash without God knowing that that's a thing. But you see, the thing that makes you think that you are going to get away with murder is the very fact that God just sits there and lets you finish what you started. Because at the end of the day, God is not going to be content with people in his heaven that he has robotized to love him. He gives you a choice to just stop. At every juncture, at every point where it is that you are concocting these machinations, he says stop. He says stop. He says stop. But if you don't stop, you evidence that you don't want him. And God does not want anybody in his heaven that frankly is not interested in worshiping him. He's the creator. He's in the heavens. He does whatever he pleases. He's the potter, and the pottery cannot say to the potter, what have you done? So if you're disinterested in worshiping your creator, go burn. Like proper, go burn. You don't get to be like, but why are you so megalomaniacal? Why must I worship you? You don't get to say of a holy God, but why do you insist that I lay myself prostrate at your throne and just bow down to you forever? He gets to demand that of you because he made you. And if you have disquiet concerning that, then die. Is that basic? Like those of you who think that God is arrogant for demanding worship, die. You are a created being, and so your thoughts are futile. They're flat, right? The thoughts of God are higher than ours, like it's written in God's word. So because your thoughts are as flat as they are, and because you are merely creation instead of the creator, indeed it is pompous of you when you demand that somebody worships you because you're like me. You draw the same breath as me. You are able to die. You're just this like fleeting worm that is going to be here now and then gone tomorrow. That's who you are. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. You are perishing souls. And so being so finite as that, you are arrogant when you anticipate that people should worship you, because you're just a creation. You can die, and all those who worship you will be left then without a God once you perish. People get to make a decision not to worship you because you're a mere mortal. But once someone has displayed themselves as God truly and as your creator, and you choose not to worship them, on that day you are truly arrogant. That's the true arrogance here. But because your thoughts are futile and they're flat as humanity, given that you think the things of God are foolishness to the man who is perishing, you are inclined to imagine it pompous when human beings that you insist worship you don't. So therefore, you are also inclined to imagine that God is also arrogant in expecting worship from you. Seeing as you're self-elevating, you are self-deifying. You have qualms with worshiping the one who created you, when you have created nothing and no one, and yet you demand worship from people. When then those people make a decision, no, I'm not going to worship a mere mortal, you then decide that you're going to utterly shatter their existence. Well, thank God the Lord will always take up the cause of the one that agrees with him. The Lord will always take up the cause of the one who fears him. The Lord will always agree that mere mortals ought not to be worshipped. He has given us a list of commandments, and anyone that respects them will be then under the ubiquitous, like unilateral protection of the one who created everything. As it is written in Romans 8, if God be for us, who can be against us? So all of you menacing psychopaths that insist on being worshipped by the entire planet, thank God that there are others among us who find the one true God and decide not to worship you, and are also under therefore the blanket, unilateral, ubiquitous protection of the one God who said, worship no one but me. When you decide that you're just going to lay a machete on our heads anyway, whoa. When you make a decision that you're just going to slice our heads off anyway, that's just a sad thing. Everybody's heads are up for grabs to be sliced, except the heads of those that have agreed that Jesus Christ is Lord. On the day you make a decision to chop off the head of a saint, woe to you. Woe to you. You are flat-minded. And so because you are flat-minded, you believe that you ought to be worshipped as a mere mortal. And you also have qualms with worshipping anybody else, including the God of heaven. For those reasons, that pomp and that arrogance is going to be spectated. Do you understand? We are going to just merely sit back and watch it until you have collected for yourself a giant thick dossier of evidence against you, and we all then are going to gather around at your court case, following which, upon the gavel being dropped, we're going to be like, good riddance, he had to go, he was so arrogant. That's how we all feel about Satan. Thank goodness he had to go, he was so arrogant. He was so arrogant. So arrogant, and that's what you presently are. Many of you in the kingdom of darkness, you are arrogant. In the worst way, you are pompous in a most mellifluous capacity. You are voluptuously evil and arrogant. You are self-elevating. You are aggrandizing, vapid in so being. You are distasteful. You will be humiliated eventually. But let's just put that out there in the run-up to that you are freaking arrogant. To imagine that you can comprehensively decimate an individual's life that has given their life over to Jesus Christ simply because they don't want to capitulate to what you're doing, and you make an observation of what appears to be God not working up for them, and that become the evidence for you being successful in the thing you're doing. God has a thing about waiting around for you to finish yourselves off. But you see, that whole waiting around process is also called grace, in the sense that he is telling you, stop, just stop. I mean, what idiot says to himself, I'm going to exalt myself above my maker and be him? I mean, it's just so foolish. So, I mean, the whole idea here is that you would wake up and realize that you're foolish, and then stop. If you stop, love will cover a multitude of sins. You will be forgiven. He who has no sin, let him cast the first stone. The Lord will tell you, now go and sin no more, if you stop. But you see, you're not stopping. That's the thing. Like the devil, you're finishing this whole thing. Here it is that we're dealing with an omnipresent God who is everywhere all at the same time. And Satan has got these weird thoughts that he imagines an omnipresent God is not privy to. An omniscient God is not privy to. Until he found out the hard way. The Lord so left the devil to finish what he started that, listen to this, he had enough time, Satan, to formulate not only this wicked machination, but also to hook up a caucus of agreeing angels in heaven to follow him in this feat, gather all weaponry that they possibly could, and then actually start to march towards God and see if they can't coup him. Yeah, he had all that time. I mean, those of you that are struggle heroes or revolutionaries, how long did it take for you to gather enough people so that you can go out and riot, march, Molotov cocktail a window or two? How long does it take to formulate that resistance? A minute, I would imagine. Yeah, doesn't happen overnight. Satan had all that time to manufacture a revolution against God. And God, who is omnipresent and omniscient, sat back and waited for him to gather around him and say, step down or else. Wow, just like it. I mean, do you see the arrogance? I don't know why you are not observing it. How do you think that you can live such a dreadful life and be okay in the end? You are destructive. Everybody that doesn't want to be with you, you tell yourselves, Okay, die. Well, you are so destructive. Every woman that does not want to be with you, evil man, you kill them. Everybody that so much as grazes your shoulder in the office, looks at you any kind of strange way, they are already compromised in some form, shape, or other for the future. You can never have an argument with anybody and then be safe. And sadly, people don't know who they're arguing with, right? They don't know who they're having a little bit of a bicker with. It could be you. And if at all they're having that bicker with you, shame, woe to them, hey? Because tomorrow they might get into a car accident. That's you guys. Anyone that just so happens to disagree with you, you distasteful hubris, psychopaths you, is on the firing line. They are potential victims of death. They are potential victims of sabotage. I could go on. I mean, really, as cantankerous, chaotic, clamorous as you are, what makes you think that you have been left indefinitely with nothing coming for you? What makes you think that you can just rule and reign and spread yourselves thin, support each other, help one another along to comprehensively decimate a country, destroy it, and nobody's coming? For real? You think that the world is viable with what you are? You can't even trust each other, and yet you thoroughly imagine that the thing you are is a going concern. There is no honor among thieves, so you don't trust each other. You're always protecting yourselves against one another even. As protection spells, whatever. Do what you want, but understand that your imaginations concerning what is going on over here, I'm very sorry, they are wrong. God has a thing about sitting around waiting for you to do the nth, the most, to finish yourself finally off. He has a way of making you get to a place where, now that you are finally pierced into the eternal plane, you will have a thorough comprehension that you had it coming now that you're going to Hades. Many of y'all get killed, but many of y'all just get humiliated on this side. You become shoddy looking has-beens. Your eventuality is unpleasant. Do you understand? And when you are roaming around in all that unpleasant eventuality, you will understand you had it coming. Because you are evil. You are disgusting. You're malevolent. You're diabolical. You are malicious, you are spiteful, you are witchy, you are destructive, and nobody is safe in your company. You are the thing that goes bump in everybody's night, and so really, frankly, when you die, it is good riddance. Adam and Eve were given a tree in the garden to ignore. Yeah, they were given a tree to ignore. God has given you trees, but that he has told you ignore. You didn't ignore them, did you? Witchcraft is here. The devil and all of his minions are here. The usage of spells to acquire everything you want in this world, it's here, but you are told to ignore it. Do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Oh Adam, oh Eve, you hubris you. Don't eat, but you ate. It's been happening for a minute. God has been testing you. Your countries have legalized a most menacing sport, and you ate. You are without excuse because there are other people that just don't. I've never used witchcraft. Before salvation, I was never into it. So you are hubris when you capitulate to that tree. Just because it's in the garden doesn't mean you get to eat it. Just because your country has legalized it does not mean you get to eat. But when you do eat, the Lord made it clear that you will surely die. And now that you are dying, you are trying to take me with you. I do apologize. It is written in God's word that it is the soul that sins that shall die. So, seeing as I have chosen to ignore the tree, given that it was all up in my grill, I had the same temptations as you. And you threw me into an even grander temptation by making sure that I can't get anything in this world, and then went on right ahead to petition me to join your silly kingdom, precisely because I have nothing. Karabo, look, you're poor, so join us. Karabo, look, you don't have a husband, so join us. Yeah, that I might also go and incarcerate some man. Just hold hostage some an unsuspecting man with all of my wimpy endeavors to be loved by force by a man that has chosen not me. Yeah, but I gotta go and lure him with a noose to be my husband. Because that's what you did, women, right? You gave your husbands korobela, and now they're out here twitching and glitching, staring at every other woman other than you, and you don't know what to do to keep this little bugger in a bunch because herein lies the deal. You bewitched him to be your husband, didn't you? Yeah. So, given that, I'm 40 with a geriatric womb, having never been married, and it appears as if though nothing is coming, I must now just either accommodate being slapped silly by Korobela, so just get taken by some idiot swinging on a chandelier like Sia with no self-control, no self-restraint, some little wannabe superhero. I must just either take that in my stride, or in and of myself find somebody in these streets that I find cute, and then be like, I'm gonna take you by force because it's what you did. Yeah, okay, look, I've got the tree. It's all up in my grill. It's grown into quite the gargantuan shrub. It's in the garden. It sings a melody every so often. It's just gongy and very loud. Not only do I see this gongy loud tree that speaks on its own, it's animated. It, alongside speaking, also has a serpent chilling in it saying, eat, eat, eat. And despite it communicating that to me, with the serpent also singing that same chorus, for 10 years, I've said no thank you. So you are without excuse when you settle for this filthy kingdom. You are without excuse, because there are others among us, that just said no. Why do you say no, Karabo? No other reason but the fact that God said so. I don't understand anything. I don't have to understand anything. I just need to know that God is holy, He is righteous, He's benevolent. He is God, and He is a just judge. And when He says don't do something, it's in my best interest whether or not I understand why. So given that I just went and ran with what Christ suggested, you're now trying to kill me because your name is Abel, right? You're Cain, sorry, and I'm Abel. You're trying to neutralize the life force from out of me, and all I gotta say is you are idiotic to imagine this is going to be a going concern indefinitely.